to get to know more about Australian premium oranges. So mamaya magkakaroon ng food demo, so may cooking session din. So titignan natin yung mga recipes na pwede nyong gawin using Australian premium oranges.
Taste Australia. Actually, Taste Australia is Australia's horticultural industry's national brand. So basically, this is the brand who through events, retail campaigns, and integrated activities aim to educate us, the public, in raising awareness and demand for Australia's horticultural products. And in this afternoon, our focus is Australian citrus, specifically Australian navel oranges, which are, as you've tasted, truly sweet, delicious, and nutritious. So I know everyone is keen to get this started, so let's kick off the proceedings by allowing me the privilege to introduce Ms. Narda Simpson, Counselor for Economics with the Department of Foreign and Trade of the Australian Embassy, for opening remarks.
Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, media friends and industry partners, it's a pleasure to also welcome you here today at this Taste Australia Citrus launch event. Thank you to our Australian industry bodies, Horticulture Innovation Australia and Citrus Australia, for your ongoing commitment to the Philippine market, and for your proactive engagement with the Australian Embassy, and particularly my colleagues in Austrade, and with industry partners to bolster and deepen our trade relationship in this very important and very delicious sector. Today is a special day. Not only will you get the chance to savour some of our beautiful Australian citrus, you'll also get the opportunity to learn more about Australia's advanced horticultural industry and how we continuously produce and supply high-quality citrus products around the world and into key markets like here in the Philippines. Australia's bilateral relationship with the Philippines is going from strength to strength since diplomatic relations began in 1946. It encompasses a broad range of areas, it's wide and it's deep, and it covers areas as diverse as defence and security, international development, and of course, trade and investment. But the thing that underlies this the most are our strong people-to-people links and our common values and shared grounds. One, of which a very important factor, is our love of food. I've been in the Philippines for 3 years now, almost 3 years now, and I've been pleased to see that during the time of my posting that more and more Australian produce is entering the market here, and it's catering to the growing demand of both Filipino and expat consumers. Thanks to our close geographic proximity and the increasing freight capacity, the opportunity to easily access quality, safe and fresh Australian produce is on the rise. As you would know, Australia produces a diverse range of quality, premium food products, including seasonal temperate fruits. Our horticultural industry has long enjoyed domestic and international reputation for quality, primarily due to our high standards across the entire supply chain, from farm or orchard to plate. The success of Australian citrus is due in no small part to the unique Australian microclimate, the constant innovation of the Australian agricultural sector, generations of expertise, and the strict biosecurity and food safety standards for which Australia is so well known. Australian citrus is picked and packed at Australian farms with special care and sent all around the world, including to the Philippines. Since market access for Australian citrus was granted in 2012, trade has been progressively building. I'm proud to see that the Philippines is now 9th in the world in terms of citrus exports, and it's our 6th largest ASEAN export market for Australian fresh fruit more broadly. This growth in trade and this success would not have been possible without the interest and dedicated support of our Philippine fruit importers and retailers such as yourselves. So thank you. Thank you for your invaluable support, investment, and for your collaborative approach with the Australian horticultural industry to drive growing demand and awareness for fresh Australian produce in the Philippine market. It's very much appreciated. Australian citrus is only available here from July to October to ensure that premium picks are offered to Philippine consumers. To be sure to enjoy the products while they're in season, I encourage you to try out the delicious set of dishes prepared by Chef Dennis here tonight. I've got my eye on the cake, which I'll be going to later on this evening, but do enjoy yourselves, taste some delicious fruit, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opening remarks. As you can see, I know everyone is excited for this improvement in relationship between Australia and the Philippines. And even if it's just food, we know that we Filipinos love food, right? And if we can share our love of food as well for our Australian counterpart, then we are truly happy to also try the dishes that they have. So thank you for that insightful introduction. And now, we would like to get more information and key industry updates from Market Access Manager of Citrus Australia, Mr. David Daniels.
Yeah, thank you for that very warm welcome and the opportunity to speak to you all once again. I've met many of you before, but for those of you that I haven't met, my name is David Daniels and I'm the General Manager of Market Development for Citrus Australia. I'd very much like to thank Chris Jose from Grupo Solvatero and the Australian Trade Commission for helping us bring this event together and for coordinating our promotional activities in the Philippines this year. It's a very exciting time to be involved in the Australian citrus industry. We've recovered from some very bad years. We've had floods, we've had droughts, and we've had some very difficult market conditions. But our industry is resilient and we've bounced back and we're enjoying some quite buoyant times. We're now in our 7th year of official trade into the Philippines. We've grown from negligible volumes in 2013 to exporting nearly 10,000 tonnes each year. We export our citrus to over 50 countries, but it's important to know that last year the Philippines became the 9th largest market for Australian citrus. We certainly believe that the efforts we've made here in the Philippines in developing the market here have contributed to that success, and we also owe that success to you, our partners here, in our annual campaigns. Visiting the supermarket chains yesterday, I was reminded that the retail sector here in the Philippines is world class, and walking through the produce sections is not just shopping, it really is an experience. The chains certainly do an amazing job of presenting our fruit in the best possible way. I'd also like to emphasise that this market and the activities we have here are very important to our industry, so much so that everything we see happening is done with financial contributions from our hard-working citrus growers. There are no funding grants or government assistance or anything like that. It's purely grower money that pays for the activities, just like the one here today. Now, I'll be the first person to admit that Australian produce we're not a cheap supply. We're not a large volume producer of cheap citrus like some of our Southern Hemisphere competitors. Rather, we supply high quality products into quality niches in export markets. Australian citrus arguably has the best colour, flavour and sweetness of any citrus in the world. There's no dispute about that. And our pristine environment and our clean green image gives us a reputation for safety and reliability. We do attract high premiums for our fruit and there's some very good reasons for that. Our growers work incredibly hard to consistently and reliably deliver the best possible fruit to market. And it's not just luck that makes our fruit the best in the world. Over $4 million of grower money is invested annually into research and development. I'd like to briefly talk about some of the things that underpin our unit quality and our reliability. The first thing I'd like to discuss are our growers. They're a unique set of individuals. There's about 1,500 orchards across Australia. Almost all of them are family owned and operated basically by husband and wife teams. There are very few corporate growers. Many of our growers are second, third and sometimes fourth generation farmers. Their parents grew citrus, their parents grew citrus and their parents grew citrus. The average size of the orchard is less than 20 hectares, which makes them quite small farms. So what's this got to do with anything? Why am I telling you this? Well, what this means is that our growers have an intimate relationship with their orchards, and with every single tree in their orchards, they walk up and down the rows each day, looking for pest and disease, checking fruit size, tasting the fruit, checking the irrigation lines, making sure every sprinkler is working, making sure that every tree is getting the right amount of water and nutrients. They love their orchards, they love their trees, and they love what they do. Another important factor to consider is the location of where we grow our oranges. In Australia, we grow citrus in what is called the grassland zone, inland from the coast. Now, this zone experiences extremely long, hot, dry summers, up to 50 degrees Celsius, and very, very cool winters down to 0 and below. So if you think about that for just a minute, we can go from 0 to 50 within just a few months. What this means is that trees are in a constant state of stress. They put all their energy into producing fruit rather than into vegetative growth. The fruit ends up very sweet with a lot of flavour, and this is also why we are renowned for some of the best wines in the world in Australia. You'll also hear the same story from our table grape industry if they come here. One of the other things I'd like to discuss is our pest management practice, and we practice what's called integrated pest management. Just to explain what that is. In any orchard there can be bad insects which damage the crop, but there are also good insects or beneficial insects which come along and eat the bad ones. We obviously want to encourage as many of the good insects as possible and discourage the bad ones. Now, if we use chemical sprays, we kill good and bad insects, and we'd end up with an even bigger long-term problem. So we want to limit chemical sprays as much as possible. We certainly don't arbitrarily spray with pesticides, and there's a lot of effort put into monitoring pests by physically walking up and down the orchards every day. We're ultimately not aiming to annihilate everything, but we are rather looking to strike some sort of balance that keep pests just below the economic thresholds. The Australian horticulturalists are leaders in the world in integrated pest management and have invested heavily in research in this area. In general, we apply sprays only when absolutely necessary, which is usually less than 3 times a year. What this means is our products are safe with very low chemical residues. There's a very famous poem in Australia that refers to Australia as the land of drought and flooding rains, and this is a very accurate description of what we experience. We're continually plagued by drought as well as floods, and our farmers have had to learn to deal with such events. At the moment, we're facing what some people would say is the worst drought in living memory, and our citrus growing regions are affected. Water is expensive and it's precious. Despite unreliable rainfall, they've still found ways to reliably produce citrus, even in times of drought. They've become very experienced in managing our water resources. There is constant investment in new water-saving technology. Almost all of our growers have transitioned to the latest drip irrigation and micro-irrigation systems. So that's enough about our growers. The season, what's the crop look like? I suppose everyone's asking. Many of you have already seen the early arrivals this season, and what will the rest of the season look like? Well, growing conditions this year have been ideal with excellent fruit production. Fruit flavour is really good, Brix development is high, and the oranges are now eating very well. Overall, the season has been a little bit late. Internal quality has been good, but most of our growers have been waiting for the fruit to colour up a little earlier on. But recent cold weather events means that the fruit has coloured up quite nicely and it's on its way. We had a very heavy flowering last spring, which means that each tree set quite a lot of fruit. So the fruit is smaller, a couple of count sizes down on average, with quite a large crop compared to last year anyway. Cosmetics are good with only minor wind blemish, and there haven't been any major weather events like hail or anything like that. So I expect the best fruit to be ripening from now right up until about mid-September. I tried the fruit yesterday. It was in local supermarket. It was tasting really good. When I compared the colour against the fruit from the US, there was no comparison. The US fruit looked quite yellow compared to ours. Going forward over the next 10 years, each year at Citrus Australia, we conduct an online tree census where our growers enter their plantings, and we collect a large amount of information on their trees. And we can do some pretty accurate modelling with that data and reasonably predict production over the next 10 years. So what we know now, that based on the current plantings, we'll see steady increases in volumes of early, mid and late season navel varieties. However, we haven't considered the trees that aren't in the ground at the moment. We do know that the nurseries are running at full capacity and you can't buy a tree for the next 2 years. So that increase in production from those trees is also likely to be substantial. So what that means is there's enough fruit for everybody. I know that a lot of people are concerned about China taking all the supply, but I don't believe that is something that anyone needs to worry about. The Chinese buyers only want certain sizes and certain grades, so there will be more than enough fruit to go around. Finally, I'd like to talk about the Taste Australia marketing campaign for 2019. Taste Australia is the Australian horticulture industry's national brand through events, retail campaigns and a range of other activities aims to educate and increase awareness and demand for Australian horticulture products. Australia connects with trade and consumers to highlight the freshness, natural environment and food safety requirements that go into producing a premium Australian citrus. It also aims to bring the life of the feeling of the Australian lifestyle, the people and the natural beauty that our horticultural producers grow up in. The campaign